Welcome back, everybody, to Two Dudes Talking Motorcycles. My name is Gleb, and you can follow me on Instagram at GlebLapham.
And as always, my name is Mitch, and Mitch, you can follow me on Instagram at Meets to the Beach.
And you can follow the podcast on social media at tdtmotorcycles, and you can also shoot us an email with your questions, comments, ride stories, etc. at tdtmotorcycles@gmail.com. Today, we are going to be talking about... It's a very adventure-themed episode, adventure bike themed, because we got two exciting new bikes to talk to you guys about, and that's being the brand new 2026 Desert X, which was announced end of February.
Yeah.
So maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we just haven't had a episode to talk about it yet. And something more recently announced is the new, or new to US, is the Tenere 700 World Raid, which is like an updated Tenere 700 model from Yamaha, which we're both pretty excited about that it's finally coming to the States.
And the upgrades they did for this year for the US release model too are pretty significant.
Yeah. So and then for our main topic, so this is probably going to be like shorter topic. I don't know. We'll see how this episode ends up splitting. We're going to be talking about also adventure themed as like how far do we push the midweight adventure bike category.
Yeah.
And we kind
what
of
even
like,
is midweight, right?
Yeah, we kind of got this idea because like every year it seems to be that, or every new generation of like adventure bike that comes out, like, you know, bigger engine size, more power, which in turn I feel like can add more weight and more bulk to the overall motorcycle, versus like keeping it like a true mid-weight.
Yeah.
And then it's like, at what point does it become like heavy enough or powerful enough that's considered more of like a heavyweight full-size adventure bike versus something that's like an actual mid-weight? So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
It's more of a discussion topic. We just wanted to share our thoughts, and
well, it'll be good for anyone
who's
looking into an adventure bike, you know, if they're listening, to give them some food for thought. So
real good. Okay, so we'll start with the Ducati Desert X. And so this is, we both rode the original Desert X. Mm-hmm. So the outgoing model, they released it, I think it was like 2023, 22, I think.
22, I think. Yeah.
22 or 21, they released the updated, or the brand new back then, Desert X. And now they did like a full refresh on it. And it has pretty much been redesigned from the ground up to make it more off-road worthy, to switch some things around to make it easier to maintain, and also keep that same like Ducati road demeanor and sports like stature that Ducati's motorcycles are known for. So it's they introduced it last month, and Ducati used extensive feedback from various rallies and off-road competitions and off-road riders to improve the bike and make it even better for off-roading, while also keeping its lively manners on the road. To achieve that, they achieved this with a more efficient suspension, a brand new engine, and a lighter, more ergonomic fuel tank. So I'll go over some of the specs, and then we'll just talk about it a little bit. You've seen the pictures of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Holy hell.
What do you think on the looks?
I like it. I think it looks really good. Looks really sharp and aggressive. I do like that about the new model. Mm-hmm. I still like the more retro inspired look of the previous generation.
I agree.
But but in the changes that they made to the looks, like for usability, like the tank,
it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and how they redesigned like the airbox and stuff, so it's easier to get to. Like it all makes sense. It's just like from an aesthetic standpoint. Yeah. I prefer the older one, but the upgrades to this one, I mean.
The upgrades are definitely justified, and they seem like they add a lot of good value to the bike, but I kind of agree. The old one kind of had this like retro rally, like inspired look to it.
Especially like that used one that they had there with all like the cosmetic changes the last owner made to it. It just looked good. The
big like rounded running lights and the kind of a chunky looking like gas tank that's on the outgoing model.
Yeah.
It looked pretty cool. But the new one, it doesn't look crazy different.
No.
It's a little more modernized looking, and the headlights, instead of having like a full halo ring light, they kind of like cut off from the top and the bottom a little bit.
Yeah.
Which I'm still it looks good, but I really like
I
the
preferred the
halo
other
look
yeah.
on the old one.
I would say this though, even though I prefer like the looks of the older one, like if I had Desert X money right now,
I'd probably be buying the new one just because of the changes that they've added. So the 2026 Desert X receives a whole new engine. It's their Ducati's 890cc V2 engine, which is actually slightly smaller in capacity than the outgoing model. But and it's their new V2 engine. It's their like 90-degree V2, so it's kind of on its side instead of like
love that engine.
Yeah, and it's a really good engine. It's similar to the engine that's found in the Panigale V2, the Street Fighter V2, the Multistrada V2. It's basically all the V2 engines. And one of the nice things about it is that it's I'll get to it later. Actually, it's about the airbox, but so it's a 890cc V2 engine. It's also Ducati's lightest V2 engine that they've ever produced. I think I remember reading it comes in at 119 pounds for like the
just
engine
the
itself.
engine. Wow.
Yeah. For the engine itself, it's got IVT, which is their variable intake timing, and the idea behind that is to give it generous power delivery across the entire rev range, while also like giving it a very lively input and prompt throttle response when you really want to like, go flat out.
Yeah.
Or accelerate. It has 110 horsepower with 68 pound-feet of torque, foot-pounds of torque, and 70% of the torque is available at 3,000 RPM. It's got shorter, the first 4 gears, the ratios on them have been shortened for better off-road use. And then they specifically mentioned that the 6th gear is much longer than it used to be for more efficiency and comfort on highway speeds. So I don't know, I've only ridden my Tiger really off-road for the past like 4 years now.
Yeah.
Almost 4 years. So I really don't know like how different gear ratios feel off-road. I know on my bike, like feels like second gear is like longer than I would probably like to be. I would love it to have a little bit more torque.
Yeah.
Without having to drop it into first as often. Your bike is pretty torquey.
Yeah. And I mean, that thing, first or second gear, like, especially if we're going downhill, I don't even touch the throttle or the brakes. Just it'll just do its own thing. So on
mine, I don't, I feel like I want something. I wish mine had like a space in between first and second gear, because first gear on mine feels a little too slow, but the second gear feels like going uphill. Like I have to really like get the RPMs up super high, and then going downhill, I'm like, I wish it would slow down a little bit more. So I'm curious to see how this will be, like how the gear ratios kind of affect the off-road riding. It's also got class-leading service intervals with 9,000 mile or 15,000 kilometer oil change, and a whopping 28,000 mile or 45,000 kilometer valve clearance check, which I absolutely love.
That's reason enough right there for me.
Like, I mean, honestly, like with my Tiger, like every 12,000 miles for valve clearance seems kind of ridiculous. And I'm at 20,000 miles now, and I got my valve clearance checked just a couple of years ago. So I'm like, I'm going to be due for another one, supposedly like by the end of this summer, probably, depending on how much I ride. And I'm like, I don't really want to do that. I might just push that until like 30,000 miles or so for the second valve clearance check. But seeing that long service interval, especially for something that's more of an expensive maintenance item like a valve clearance check, is really nice.
Yeah.
And I think
that's a big ticket service too,
Yeah.
So, like,
it is very
mine's
pricey.
Like 20, which is good.
Yeah.
It's good, but man, even having another 20 or another 8,000 miles on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is like, and I think the Multistrada V4 has like a 36,000 mile valve clearance check, which is really impressive. Yeah. Which is really awesome. So I think that's also like, even though it's kind of a bigger, like a higher entry price for this bike, but I can imagine you'd probably be saving like on some maintenance costs here.
Well, even there, like in a 5 or 10 year range, right? Like how much are you spending on maintenance on this bike versus, like the Tiger?
Yeah. Which has a much shorter, valve clearance check.
Yeah.
So I think that's really nice, especially for a bike that's marketed as like an adventure bike, as taking long road trips, both on and off road, and probably putting a lot of miles on it. So I think that's a very welcome change, and I hope more manufacturers kind of strive to increase that check, especially for the valve clearance. Oil change, I'm like, it's fine if it's sooner, like if it's only like 6,000 miles. I don't think that's as big of a deal because oil is much easier to change than checking your valves.
A lot cheaper.
And a lot cheaper. Or you can just do it yourself.
Well, exactly.
Super easy.
Yeah.
For the frame and suspension, so they've got a monocoque frame that was developed specifically for the Desert X. The engine acts as a structural part of the bike, like part of the frame. And then the frame also acts as like an airbox. So they kind of like channel the air through the frame to make sure it goes where it needs to go. And that's what I was talking about earlier. The new position of the airbox allows for easy air filter access. So you can easily access your air filter to clean it or to replace it, which is great if you're doing a lot of off-road riding, because that filter is going to get dirty much quicker.
I'm going to check my filter when I get my bike back.
Yeah, I need to check mine as well. And because on the old bike, you pretty much had to like take off the fuel tank, or at least scooch it out of the way in order to get to the air filter, which if you're riding away from everything and everyone for a long period of time, you might not want to do that in the field, or it just adds a lot more hassle. The rear trellis frame has been redesigned for easier access to the engine components behind the bike. It's got a brand new aluminum swing arm, and the rear suspension is equipped with full floaters progressive linkage for improved comfort and off-road behavior. Compared to the regular suspension without linkages, the new setup offers a softer response in the first phase and more sustained response when high stress comes into play. So it's a more progressive suspension where it kind of is more reactive to your riding.
It's not bucking you as much.
Yeah. And huge upgrade from the outgoing model. Fully adjustable KYB forks up, 46 millimeter forks up front, adjustable compression and rebound. I did not see specifically the mention preload, but I wouldn't be surprised if preload's there, or maybe they're saying that for a different model.
Yeah.
And then fully adjustable KYB shock in the rear with the remote preload adjustments for the back. For the brakes and the wheels, Brembo calipers are still there. I think most high-end bikes probably use Brembo calipers at this point. So it's really no surprise that it has, but it's got the M4.32 monoblock 4-piston 2-pad calipers up front with 305 millimeter dual discs, and dedicated pads, axial pump with a newly redesigned lever for greater modulation off-road and improved lever feel for the front brake lever. And then 255 millimeter disc with a Brembo 2-piston caliper in the rear, 21-inch front brake, 21-inch front wheel, and 18-inch rear wheel, which is a pretty standard size for a lot of more off-roady.
Yeah, that's what ours is.
Bikes.
Ours are
17s in the back.
Oh, you're right. They are
21 in the front though. So yeah, pretty standard setup, and then comes stock with the Pirelli Scorpion Rally STR tires, front and back. So I feel like, most of the stuff there is very similar to the previous bike. I think the big thing is that the rear suspensions get that linkage now, and it's more of a progressive suspension. I think that's going to be like the biggest difference for those that have ridden the bike. That's probably going to be where you would like feel a lot more of,
definitely
more of a difference in how the bike handles. And then for the ergonomics, they improved the ergonomic triangle for better riding position off-road. The foot pegs were moved further back, and the seat and the handlebars were moved a little bit forward to improve sport riding, going to give you a little bit more of an aggressive riding position, both on and off-road. So off-road, if you're standing on the bike, they really try to improve the standing comfort.
So you're like attack mode.
Yeah, more attack mode, more leaning forward to kind of help tackle or ride more aggressive off-road. The stock seat height is 34.6 inches, but there are lower seats available and also a lowering kit available. So if you're a short king, there's some options for you there as well. And then a brand new redesigned 4.8 gallon or 18 liter polymer gas tank. And it's a slimmer gas tank and it's a lighter gas tank. It comes with a protective crash pads kind of already pre-installed for drops off-road. compared to the outgoing model, which had a metal gas tank. So I think switching to polymer did save them a little bit of weight, overall weight on the bike. There wasn't like that much crazy amount of weight savings, but the new design of the tank also allows the fuel to kind of like seep a little bit lower, which helps reduce lower the center of gravity. Which
that's what I was gonna say. Was even like just switching to polymer, like that's like that weight isn't so high up.
Yep.
So yeah.
And which I feel like that's gonna help a lot off road, because having that low center of gravity is such a big help. That's why a lot of people like the KTM, like the Adventure 890 or the Norden 901. From Husqvarna, is because they have that like saddle style fuel tank where the fuel really goes down low into the tank.
As someone who has like, a very top heavy bike with a high center of gravity, it's versus when we rode like the Norden.
Rode the Norden or even like the GS.
Yeah, you just feel planted.
With its boxer engine just like that low. So better ergonomics overall, with hopes of improving off-road, the off-road riding position, but both off-road and on-road riding positions, and also just making it more kind of catering to more an aggressive rider on that side. And then finally, the tech and electronics, which I feel like Ducati always packs their bikes full of different tech and electronics, and it comes with 6-axis IMU, which is no surprise there. It is geared with like off-road use in mind, so it does detect roll, pitch, yaw, but it also, which allows for Ducati's like cornering ABS, Ducati traction control, wheelie control, and engine brake control to assist the rider. And the cool thing, and I've stated this before, is you can change those parameters and suit them to your riding style as you want. There's different levels of traction control. There's different levels of wheelie control and engine braking, and there's even different levels of ABS control for both on-road and off-road riding, which I think is amazing to be able to, like, we have all this technology, it's all computer programmed and stuff. Let the rider pick how much intervention they want the bike to give them, whether they want to like ride more aggressively or more passively, to kind of let them decide. Because I feel like, if a person wants to go faster, they want to be able to push the bike without the bike getting in their way as much.
Like stopping.
Yeah.
Every time you want to switch your mode.
And I didn't see anything specifically mentioned on whether the settings retain after you turn the bike on and off, but I think the outgoing Ducati does that. It retains the settings that you set.
It should, right?
So when you turn the bike off and back on, like, your settings don't change. You don't have to go and reconfigure everything again, which I love. Yeah. It has 6 riding modes. Also not really a surprise there, because pretty much every bike has riding modes these days, which are Sport, Touring, Urban, Wet, and then 2 off-road modes, which are Enduro and Rally. Rally, I think, being the more aggressive.
Just everything off.
Pretty much, yeah. And then the Enduro and Rally modes allow for disabling of ABS for off-road use. And there's 4 levels of ABS that you can choose from. Levels 1 and 2 are for off-road riding, and level 1 is basically, I think, just like everything off, is dedicated for off-road, faster off-road riders, more aggressive riders. And then level 2 ABS for off-road is for, Ducati say it's for less experienced riders, allowing them to become familiar with off-road maneuvers. I'm not exactly sure how the 2 would feel differently. Maybe level 1 just completely turns off all ABS, and then level 2 maybe like kicks it on if it's really feeling like you're braking really too aggressively.
Hard, yeah.
So I didn't specify really like what's the big difference between the 2. Just
softer.
Just like level 1 is for faster riders. That's basically what it stated on Ducati's website. So I'm curious to see what the big true difference is. Maybe we'll poke our local Ducati dealer sales guys over about that. Pick their brains a little bit. And then level 3 and 4 are for on-road riding. Their press release didn't specify what the difference between those 2 levels are, but maybe it's kind of a similar thing where it's like level 3 is normal ABS, level 4 is like sport ABS, where it makes it maybe a little less aggressive. Brand new quick shifter, both up and down quick shifter, and Ducati's quick shifters are amazing. We both used them before on various bikes, and they're smooth.
Oh, yeah.
The only time I feel like that's pretty much with any quick shifter, it's going from like first to second gear where it's feels a little more clunky.
Like BMWs. Yeah.
But for the rest of the gears, like it's smooth. I love it. And then they moved all the sensors on the quick shifter to the interior, so there's no external sensors to keep it protected from moisture, dust, and mud. Brand new 5-inch TFT, now in a horizontal configuration instead of the vertical
tower,
one, which I get why. It's like a lot of their other bikes also use the horizontal, so it's probably like streamlining a cost-saving thing where they don't have to make a separate unit just for the Desert X. And they also claimed one of the other reasons is to allow for better placement of like GPS and navigation above the screen. So because both of those are going to be horizontal. But I will miss the vertical tower that the
I know it looked like Dakar.
Yeah,
yeah,
it looked like
good.
a cool rally bike.
Yeah.
There is different display modes you can switch between. Their Road Pro, and Rally, and depending on which mode you're in, it'll show different kinds of information.
Well, it's like what's relevant to what you're riding on.
Yeah. And I think they're independent of the mode, so you can have a road mode on while your riding mode is an off road, so it's not.
Oh yeah. For your display mode. Yeah.
LED lights all around. Comes standard with a lithium-ion battery, which is nice. Standard cruise control, which every adventure bike should have at this point. Self-canceling indicators, and optional, it does have anti-theft device you can add to it. Directional LED lights, tire pressure monitor, heated grips, and turn-by-turn navigation, and Ducati's multimedia system. My only gripe there is the heated grips.
I was going to say, like, wait a minute, optional?
I looked it up on Ducati's website, and the heated grips are like a $480 option, which I'm like, this is already like basically like an $18,000 bike, or like $17,500.
Yeah, I looked it up. The MSRP starts at 17.
17,
so 16,995.
Okay, so essentially $17,000.
And that's just
adventure bike
out the door, like no optional stuff. So like,
yeah,
you're gonna
and that's MSRP, so that's before taxes, fees, registration, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And doesn't come with heated grips, which I feel like are kind of like
for anything
staple of touring or adventure bikes. Like my Tiger was like, I don't know, a couple of grand less than this. It had heated grips standard. Your bike had heated grips standard. So many of them have that as like standard. I mean, there's bikes that have it optional too, but they're not priced at $17,000.
Yeah, they're not like they're not getting to like that the underside of 20 grand.
Yeah. So it's a little disappointing to see that bit. I feel like a lot of those things, like the turn-by-turn navigation or the Ducati multimedia system, which is their Bluetooth connection for your phone, should be standard at this point if your bike has TFT.
When I'm looking at like the optional stuff you have listed here, and like all that looks like I'm fine with all that being optional.
Yeah.
Except the heated grips.
Except
for this price point.
Especially for the price point, I feel like a lot of that stuff should probably already be built into the TFT. So that's my info on the Desert X. Overall, I think it's a really cool upgrade.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that did differently. I think the biggest change is probably going to be that airbox, making maintenance a lot easier. And in their press release, they specifically emphasized the airbox maintenance, and then access to the engine compartment being much easier with a new trellis frame or redesigned frame. So maybe their manual will include more information than just see dealer now.
Yeah, I hope so.
For a lot of maintenance items.
I'm happy with the new version of it, and like especially when you are doing like off road, especially like the type of off roading that this bike was built for.
Yeah,
I think that functionality over looks for sure is preferred, even though like the original Desert X,
it looked so good.
Looks so good, and it performed well too.
It did perform well.
This is just like an updated version for it. So
and did I mention the weight? I may have forgot to mention.
The
weight of it.
Don't see the weight, but yeah.
Okay.
If you want to look that up, I can start on the
go ahead and start, and I'll.
Yeah, now we're going to be talking about the Yamaha Tenere 700 World Raid. And just to start off, this bike looks good. I mean, the Tenere's already looked good.
Yeah.
But with this added, like the bigger fuel tank and everything on there, I'm kind of in love.
Real quick, found the weight. It is 461 pounds without fuel.
Wow.
So,
without fuel.
Without fuel.
Yeah, okay.
So without fuel, adding about probably like 40 pounds of weight.
Yeah.
Above that for fuel. So kind of close to 500-pound range, which again, I believe it's slightly lighter than the outgoing model, but not by a whole lot.
Yeah.
It's also a little bit cheaper than the outgoing model, which is actually kind of nice.
Yeah. And I guess so we'll see how that stacks up to the Yamaha for wet weight.
Yeah.
But yeah, as Gleb said, this was announced just very like 2 weeks ago, if that.
Yeah.
It was that. Yamaha is now finally bringing the Tenere World Raid to the United States for 2026. And if you didn't know, the World Raid, available everywhere else, has a really cool dual fuel tank system.
Yeah.
Looks kind of wonky at first, but
to me, it's like when I see that, I'm just like, why not just make
have
it one big fuel tank, just have a little connector in the middle?
Yeah.
I don't get the reasoning behind it, but it does look cool.
Yeah.
And just to like catch the listeners up, the World Raid has been available over in Europe for a couple of years now.
Mm-hmm.
We were waiting for it to come to the US, and it's essentially kind of a souped up model of the Tenere 700. It's got more tech,
beefier suspension.
Yeah, beefier suspension, more tech, more bells and whistles.
Yep. And then the dual tank thing, it reminds me of like back when I was taking some flight lessons. Like you have to switch fuel tanks on some planes, you know. And so it's like that'd be really funny if they had like a little like fuel switch on the bike.
I don't think they do.
No, they don't.
Okay,
but
it
just
funny.
It just sent me down memory lane with that.
So my question is, I wonder if you can do you have to fill up both tanks independently?
I don't think so. I think
or just fill up one.
That's what I couldn't find.
Okay.
But I don't think so. That wouldn't make much sense. Like
it'd be very weird.
Yeah, like why would you have like two fully separate tanks where you have to fill up each one? I'm pretty sure they all run down.
Maybe it's for weight.
Yeah.
I could see one thing I could see it being is for better weight distribution, because then you don't have the fuel like sloshing back and forth as easily. Maybe it's more of like kind of on the sides.
Yeah,
that could be the reason.
Yeah, it is odd that my research on it like nowhere specified like how that exactly works, other than saying it's a dual fuel tank. So.
Okay.
I'm hoping that you can fill one up and they meet.
They meet in the middle.
Yeah.
They touch.
They touch. But yeah, anyway, it's unique at the very least. That's what I should say with it. So,
yeah.
But yeah, for the 2026 model, Yamaha did make some tweaks and changes to the bike for like the long distances and speeds in the US, just to make it a little bit more comfortable. Because, from point A to point B in the US is typically going to be a lot longer than in Europe.
We got long roads.
Yep. But it uses the same engine, just adjusted a little bit different. The 698cc, I think it's the CP2?
689.
Or sorry. Yeah. So outputting at 72.4 horsepower at 9,000 RPM with 50.2 foot-pounds of torque at 6,000 RPM. The adjustments were designed to deliver more linear and usable torque. They also redesigned their air intake to help boost the lower RPM torque on there, which good for slow speed, great for off-road, especially hills. So
yeah.
I'm excited to see how it handles. I would like to actually try, like when they are available, I would like to try like an original, like a standard Tenere 700 and then try the World Raid.
I've tried the regular one.
Okay.
At a demo day at a local Yamaha dealer. And it was just like a quick cruise down the street and then on the highway. So nothing off-road.
Nothing definitive.
I can't speak for that.
Yeah.
But I mean, hopping on that versus my Tiger, you immediately felt the weight difference.
Oh, I'm sure.
I was like, oh, God damn, this feels so light.
Yeah.
Really nice.
How'd the power feel? Because
the power felt pretty good. I didn't feel like it was lacking power, but it definitely didn't feel like quite as peppy as my Tiger. I mean, considering it does have 20 less horsepower.
Gotcha.
And less torque. But the torque did feel good down low. Like I feel like it could still get up to speed. fairly quick. It didn't feel that bad on the highway either, but this was also like not loaded down, didn't have any luggage on it or anything like that. Just the bike, fully stock.
Gotcha.
All that stuff.
All right. Nice. Yeah, I'm excited to try one eventually. But yeah, the World Raid itself. So it's now a ride by wire. So no more cable throttle, which is now introducing the rider modes, sport for road riding, faster throttle response, and then explorer for the off-road, which kind of softens it up a bit. So you're not throwing yourself off a rock.
Yeah.
So, and they did specify that you can switch these modes on the go. You don't have to stop.
I remember seeing that specifically on their
Yeah.
release, which is great. Everyone should do that.
They should.
Try
'em. Yeah, and then with going to this ride by wire, this is also the first year the Tenere will have cruise control. Any Tenere, I believe. Because I don't think the 2025... It had all the 2024. They did a bunch of updates on the Tenere.
Even the European models didn't have the cruise control on the World Raid.
Oh, the European ones might have. But I think what I meant by that was that in the U.S. we're going to have Teneres.
That makes sense.
We'll have a cruise controlled Tenere.
Which, like we just talked about with Ducati, like a touring bike, adventure bike, I feel like cruise control is a must.
Well, yeah, and like when the Tenere was first announced, I was, this is about the time I was getting into motorcycling.
Yeah.
And just like all these cool bikes for long distance travel. They got all this cool stuff. Like this bike looks awesome for the price, the looks, everything. No cruise control.
No cruise control. And I know there's like throttle locks you can get and stuff, but it's not as the same as just having a button to press that's already built in.
Yep. So, but yeah. Wow, if I can talk today, but the World Raid for 2026 it is the first Tenere to include a 6-axis IMU that works with like slide and traction control and like for ABS as well, depending on like what mode you're in or like how you're riding. Yeah. Oh, and that cruise control. This is nice just for me because my bike doesn't have this on it. The cruise control is adjustable like yours.
That is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does suck having to like cancel cruise control every time you need to adjust.
Yeah. So. And then having to reset it basically.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, just.
That is nice.
Really, really nice. And then I don't recall if the other Teneres had Brembo brake calipers, but these do on the front.
I don't believe they did.
I don't think so either. I'm pretty sure they were the Nissens
or some
like
different
Yamaha
brand.
Yeah.
But I do remember like specifically thinking like, oh, it's cool. They got Brembos or Brembo calipers at least on them now.
Yeah. And if you look at like the pictures for the World Raid, they're not the big chunky like Brembo brake calipers that we have or like the Desert X going to have, but they are still Brembo brakes with some pretty sizable discs. Yeah. So they're really good. I'm excited to try it out.
Yeah.
They also repositioned the clutch actuation to help with like rider ergonomics for standing, sitting, be more flexible on there. And the dual tanks, they are total 6.1 gallons.
Which is crazy.
That's a lot.
That's because half a gallon more than mine.
Yeah.
Roughly. And then
well, the Tiger 1200s, not the Rally Explorers, but because those are like 8 or something.
Those are
huge.
massive.
Yeah. But it's a lot for for a midweight adventure bike. 6 gallons is a lot.
A ton. And I remember seeing, I think it was on ADV Pulse where they mentioned that Yamaha is saying approximately like 310 miles of range on like a single tank, which is, as someone whose bike eats up gas, I think that's wonderful. I'm curious to see what that range looks like when it's like fully weighed down and fully loaded.
Well, I was going to say with your bike's pretty good until it's on mileage until it's loaded.
Yeah, loaded up, my bike sucks on gas.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, I get it. Other little changes they made the transmission smoother for your shifting, and it's ready to have a up and down quick shifter installed. Does not come with it.
Okay.
And on those tanks, the they've also been redesigned from previous models, and they're 1.5 kilograms lighter than the previous year.
Which is pretty sweet, especially for a tank that big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, yeah, especially for a tank that big. So, they've also done a rework of the suspension. Up front, they have the KYB fully adjustable 46 millimeter forks, Kashima coated to help with friction and abrasion.
Yeah.
For the 46 millimeters up front, that's up from the 43, which I think 43. How big are ours again?
44, 45.
Okay.
Something. It's somewhere in the 40s.
Yeah. So it'll be good for the extra weight on it. So,
and it's nice that they're fully adjustable too.
Yeah. And even going up from to that bigger fork, they've managed to keep the weight the same on them somehow. It's just really good.
Yeah.
And I think it was, here we go. Yeah. 9.1 inches of travel in the front, fully adjustable with preload adjustment up front as well.
That's really nice.
Yeah. For the rear, you're looking at the monocross KYB linkage rear suspension with 8.6 inches. And I just didn't do the conversion, but that's 20 millimeters more than the standard Tenere.
Nice.
So suspension for days.
Suspension for days. Seems a lot of suspension improvements going around.
Yeah.
Which I guess it also kind of makes sense to me that they would want to beef up the suspension, because this is going to be a heavier model than the standard Tenere, which is, has a smaller gas tank. Yeah. Really more stripped down.
Well, I'm sure there's a joke about Americans being fatter in there too.
Probably. So. Like, we got to have the beefy suspension for Americans here. But it makes sense that they want to upgrade the suspension, especially with more weight being added to the bike.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the bike also comes with a 16-step steering dampener. That's cool. Awesome. Yeah. I'm a fan of steering dampeners now after trying bikes with them. A new LED headlight setup that they listed that can now be adjusted with one screw. On mine, which is with the one headlight, it's one screw. But but with these ones, I'm guessing the older models, you had to make not each headlight, but probably like an up, down, left, right adjustment. Yeah. So they also redesigned the windscreen, and this bike will come with removable side deflectors, give you better wind protection, but you can adjust it as you want to. Mm-hmm. And they have a larger TFT than the Desert X, a 6.3-inch TFT display, vertical, matches it. Cool. Yeah. So 3 different theme options, Street, Explorer, and Raid. It's fully connectable to the MyRide app, and then it comes with a USB-C port.
Very nice. Oh, I think I forgot to mention that on the Desert X, 2 USB ports.
Not USB-Cs.
They didn't specify which, but I think they might be USB-Cs.
They better. Yeah. And then this bike's coming in at a wet weight of 485 pounds. Nice. It's a little bit lighter than mine.
That's significantly lighter than mine.
Yeah. And then the MSRP is starting at $13,000.
13,000.
And I will say, I went on their website, Yamaha's website. You can configure your own. Mm-hmm. And with just some of the stuff that I would want on there, I think it would like crash bars, a rear luggage rack, heated grips. Heated grips are also not included. Additional.
It's also like what, $5,000 less? Yeah, $4,000 less than.
It's a little bit more
than the Desert X. I'm like, I can give them a little bit of grace there.
Yeah, exactly. So they got to make their money somehow.
Yeah, and just to clarify for the listeners, we're not really comparing the two bikes.
No,
because I feel like they're, even though they're both midweight adventure bikes, they're kind of different
classes.
Levels of midweight adventure bikes. But when I heard that they were bringing World Raid to the US, I was super excited. I've been reading quite a bit about it, and thinking I really want to try this bike out and see how it feels, because the idea of replacing my Tiger with this definitely is floating around in my head, because I just really like the package that it comes with. I'm maybe looking at a little bit less power, but I'm not a super fast rider anyway, so maybe that's fine. but less weight, which is nice.
Yeah.
And the features that it comes with seem good. The only thing that would hold me back is the fact that it comes with tubes. With tubes in the wheels. Yeah. So not tubeless.
I was gonna say, like, if you are gonna compare like the World Raid to another midweight adventure bike in that same price point, you will have to consider that if you do want tubeless tires,
you'd have to get
that's gonna be anywhere from like what, $2,000, depending what you want. Yeah.
My quick search showed like there's about $1,500 for like off-brand aftermarket, like tubeless compatible spoked wheels,
and then tubeless tires.
Well, no, tires. Any tire could be tubeless. Yeah, you don't need to have tubes. Okay. It's just more of the wheel itself, like keeping the air in.
Well, I learned something
spokes. New. Yeah. So, and they do sell like conversions. There's like tape you can put over like where the spokes connect to the wheel. I've heard that can be a hit and miss. Yeah. I think I'd rather just have a tire or a wheel that's specifically made for like tubeless tires, without any tubes involved. And for me, it's more of like, I don't know, all the bikes I've had were tubeless tires, and I just don't want to really deal with trying to fix a tube if I get a flat.
Well, it's like you mentioned, like with the Ducati, when you're reading on the V2, right? Like if you have to do some like field stripping, to get to your air box, now you're out in the wilderness. Now you don't have to take off the tank to get to your air filter.
Kind of same thing. You just plug the hole, fix it. I mean, tubes can be like patched up, and you can keep using the same tire. So I'm sure there's pros and cons to both, but it's not something that I personally want to deal with. And especially since I'm not like riding 100% off-road, I'm like, I don't really see the benefit of having tube tires.
Yeah.
Spoked wheels, yes, I still want those, but I would immediately switch them out for something that's for wheels that are compatible with tubeless tires.
Yeah, for sure. So, that's...
And it looks dope.
It does look really good.
They have like that black and gold color scheme for it. And then I like the kind of like the white and red.
Yeah.
That they have like classic Yamaha colors, color scheme. I think it looks really good. The headlight looks really dope with those four like LEDs kind of stacked on top of each other. I think it's a great looking bike. I really want to try it out, especially because the price point is very approachable. The tech that it comes with, and
that's
the specs are really good, especially for the price. And then even though there's a few optional things that I would like the quick shifter, heated grips, I definitely would want those. And then probably like the wheels that are compatible with like tubeless tires. So adds a little bit to the cost, but it's still well below like even the Ducati, like the Desert X.
And I didn't mean to make that sound like a comparison at all, but
I was just wanting to make sure that
people knew.
Somebody did think it was.
Let's compare this 110 horsepower bike to a 72. No, I'm really tempted to go.
I really want to try it. I remember seeing that it's supposed to hit dealerships around May.
Okay.
Yeah, here in the U.S. So I'm hoping there'll be some demos that we can try out, or talk to a couple of dealerships to see if they'll let us.
Take one out. Give everyone our opinions on them.
Yeah. So now we'll move on to our other side topic, I guess, for the day, since those two bike reviews, not reviews, but announcements took up a good chunk of time. But it's kind of like probably will be a kind of a quick discussion. But so those two bikes are both considered middleweight adventure bikes with considerably different engine sizes and engine power, and but not quite as much of a weight difference as like you would think. But basically, we're kind of like, last time we were like, I think we were playing a game or something like that, or just chatting. We were talking about like, at what point does a middleweight adventure bike stops being a middleweight adventure bike? Because over the years, they've been like creeping up in power. You had like the Tiger 800 go to a Tiger 900. You had the BMW F800 GS go to an F850 GS to now an F900 GS. So it's kind of like creeping up. The only like trend breaker, I guess, is the new Desert X actually went down in capacity a little bit by like 9 cc's or something like that. And then slightly down with weight. But the weight kind of, and even though the engine size is getting bigger, the weight hasn't like shifted nearly as much as I thought. And this is kind of just like a quick little research that I've done comparing like some of the newer bikes to older bikes. But I feel like a lot of the newer ones definitely shifted more towards like closer to that 500-pound range versus being like mid 400 pounds.
Yeah.
So like when does it get to the point where like are we going to start seeing like 1,000cc midweight bikes in the future? And then what happens with the actual like full size like heavyweight adventure bikes? Like the GS is already at 1,300cc, pumping out like 130 something horsepower or 140 horsepower. The Multistrada V4 is 1,200cc, I think.
Yeah.
And pumping out like 170 horsepower, 160 horsepower. That is a fast bike.
Yeah,
it's a really fast bike. So I feel like the categories are slowly kind of like shifting up a little bit. But the midweight category is kind of it's so broad because we have something like the Tenere 700 or the Honda Transalp 750 or the Touareg 660, which are like much smaller engines with lower power output, but they also weigh, like the Touareg is 439 pounds, the Tenere is 452, and that's not, I don't think that's the world raid.
That should just be the standard.
Yeah. The Transalp was 463 pounds, but then we also got things with like a 900 or 800, almost 900cc engines.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at this too with the Tenere, the standard Tenere being 452 pounds. Yeah. World Raid, same engine, more weight at 483 or 485 pounds wet.
Yeah.
So like, that's creeping up there too. Like
it's creeping up there. And a lot of these bikes, like the ones that are like lower capacity, they're sitting around like 75 to 80 horsepower roughly. But then you have like the Norden 901 and the KTM 890, which share the same engine. They're pushing like closer to 500 pounds. But they also got like 105 horsepower each from an 889cc engine. You had the new Desert X pushing 110 horsepower from an 890cc engine. You got the F900 GS pushing 105 horsepower. And Tiger 900, which is the chunkiest boy here, at 503 pounds, pushing 106 horsepower. So it's kind of like this shift of, or not, I guess not really a shift, but you're having like these bikes with a lot more power that are a little bit heavier, with bigger engines, still being considered like middleweight bikes in the same category as bikes like the Yamaha or the Touareg, which are much not as quite as powerful, but they're also not like a whole like significantly lighter. For example, the Norden 901 is 481 pounds, but the Transalp is 463 pounds. Yeah, there's a 20-pound difference between those two bikes, but it was not as much of a difference that I thought it was going to be. Between those two. So at one point, I'm just kind of curious, and if anybody wants to like write to us and figure out like, or what kind of like, where would the determining factor be between having like a like the smaller, lighter bike and then going up to that's still a middleweight adventure bike, going up to like a more powerful upper midweight adventure bike. Yeah. Like the KTMs or the Nordens or the GSs. So I don't know. It was just kind of like interesting for me to like kind of write it out and see like how they compare. And granted, like 30 pounds is a good chunk of weight, but it's not like, it's not like it's still a difference, but it's not like 100-pound difference. Like, but you're also getting like so much more power. On like the higher end like midweight bikes versus like the smaller ones. And I think I don't know, I just like it just got to put a thought in my head like, where is the cutoff on how much more performance you get versus how much weight you get? And then bikes like the World Raid where they're pushing more weight with the same engine size, like how is that eventually going to kind of like evolve? Ever going to like split the middleweight category, or is like, the media, like Motorcycle News and stuff like that, are they going to slowly like start splitting these two categories between like midweight light versus midweight heavy, or midweight and then what's going to happen with the heavyweight bikes where they're pushing, 1300 cc, 1200 cc's? Like, are they going to keep pushing up until we have like a 500 or 1500 cc GS all of a sudden?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it got me thinking, like, how far is it going to creep up before it becomes like, okay, this is starting to get a little too heavy and too cumbersome for a midweight adventure, for an adventure bike in general, whether it's midweight or height or a heavyweight.
Yeah.
And then I was just comparing these numbers to previous models that are like 10 years or older compared to the newer ones. So for example, the 2010 F800 GS from BMW came in at 456 pounds, but it also had a 789 cc with 85 horsepower. That's compared to the 482 pounds in the new F900 GS, but also pumping out 105 horsepower. So that's almost a 30-pound weight difference between the two in the past 15 years. Yeah. And I know there's a lot of things involved, probably like better materials or better safety. And then you got like your emissions standards and stuff have improved, and I'm sure that's adding a lot more weight to it as well. In 2006, we had like the BMW F650 GS, which came in at 425 pounds. And it seems like 10 years ago or so, like 10, 15 years ago, a lot of these categories seemed a little bit more, not even 10, 15, like 15 to 20 years ago, it seems like a lot of these categories kind of like had a little bit more consistency with their weight. Yeah. Versus now where we have, 450 pound bikes and 500 pound bikes being put in the same midweight category.
And while you were explaining that, I was looking on here too, like, cause there's that power to weight ratio that can determine tell you
how much horsepower
you're getting per, and so like with a better ratio, let's like the Desert X, the new one, right? With its weight, and if we're gonna assume that it's gonna be close to like the Tenere World Raid weight, with fuel, the 110 horsepower spread across that weight versus, like that one. That's why you can't really compare the two of them fairly.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's you really do. I think. Really, you do have to contend with. I'm doing a little math, and seeing how good that weight is actually spread across the power.
Yeah, and
vice versa.
And just like from the few models that I looked at right before we started, it seems like we've gone up a little bit in weight, but we've gone up significantly more in power too. So, at least like the 2010. F800 GS pushing only like 85 horsepower, which is not much less than my current bike. I think mine's at like 95 compared to the new F900 GS, which is pushing 105 horsepower. Yeah. So you're looking at like a 20 horsepower difference between the two, but they've also added 30 pounds of weight there. Yeah. So 30 pounds of weight for 30 or for 20 horsepower. So I don't know. It's more or less it's less of like how the category is shifting. It's more of like, is there going to be an eventual like cutoff and a split in the midweight adventure bike category? Yeah. Because it feels like we're getting, like I said, these higher capacity, more powerful bikes being categorized in the same category as lower capacity, lighter bikes. And I feel like eventually there's going to be even a greater gap between the two, because I don't know if manufacturers that pride themselves on making like the 660 or the Tenere 700, the Touareg 660 or the Tenere 700 are going to want to like keep pushing those bikes into a higher capacity category as well, because then you're looking at increased price, increased weight, increased cost of development. Yeah. So I feel like it's going to kind of like slowly creep where the more like true, I would say, like the true middleweight adventure bikes, like the 700, the Tenere 700, or the Torx 660, kind of like stay roughly around the same power and engine capacity and weight, and just make improvements to like emissions and fuel and efficiency, ergonomics.
Yeah.
While we'll see like the higher end or the higher capacity adventure bikes still kind of slowly creeping more in power and things like that.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious. It just got me curious to see how that's going to develop over the next like 10 years.
Yeah. And honestly, I think if we ever can get our hands on like a world raid to try out, and then I don't even compare it like with Emerson's 890.
Yeah.
Just to see that weight difference on there. Cause like the 890 significantly more horsepower for not much more weight from the Tenere 700. And then with the world raid going to be heavier than the 890, but smaller. Yeah. It'll be interesting. So, but I think too, like with adventure bikes specifically, like, it's great to have like more power. We love power, especially going uphill and stuff like that. But gosh, you drop that thing,
it's gonna be harder.
You're gonna drop, and especially if you drop it multiple times, like on a long trip.
Yeah,
that's gonna wear you down. That's gonna be something.
Adds up.
Yeah, like, are you really gonna be thinking like sure glad I got a midweight adventure bike when I'm picking up this like near 500-pound vehicle.
Exactly, exactly. And then you're looking at like the actual like heavyweight adventure bikes, like the GSs and stuff like that. They're 550 pounds or something like that. 520 from 520 to 550 pounds. That's significantly more weight, but you're also getting so much more power and stuff. So the power to weight kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of weird that the midweight category has become like such a broad category of motorcycles. And I'm just, like I said, I'm just thinking there's going to be like kind of a split or it's going to split into two like subcategories in the future.
Well, like, no, I could see that. And like, even go back like almost 40 years now, like the old Tenere, the the XT600 Tenere, 419 pounds, like significantly lighter than, that's a light, everything on that we have for our list here.
The only one of the newer bikes that I have like that's lightest on here is the KTM 890 Enduro. Yeah. At 350 pounds, but that's also like more of a dual sport bike. It doesn't have the standard stuff that an adventure
the ADV
bike.
bells and whistles. Yeah.
Like it doesn't have as many fairings. It has a smaller gas tank. It doesn't have as much. It's got a decent amount of tech still built in, but it comes in at 350 pounds. Yeah. But it's also not going to be as comfortable to ride probably.
That's going to be a narrower seat.
But still has 77 horsepower.
Yeah.
From an engine that's,
Well, and 350 pounds to the ratio of 77 horsepower. Yeah. That's a much better weight ratio power to weight ratio than what you'd have like on a 450 pound bike with 74 horsepower.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It was just some food for thought.
No, basically. For sure. And then, with like, I put out the XT600. I don't think that's the actual model that Itchy Boots rides nowadays with her older Tenere, and with hers being customized and stuff, but 419 pounds, 43 horsepower, a lot less power, but also less weight. And on a big adventure bike, or when you're on adventures, I mean, Itchy Boots kind of dominates that a bit. She's the same 100%, with it. Yeah. It's like, how much power do me and you really need?
Not 110 horsepower. No. I don't ride fast, especially off road. I'm too scared to go fast off road.
Yeah. So I think do you need that much? If you're going to do mostly on road with like spots or half off road, then you have to consider it. But man, like
if you're riding mostly off road, I feel like a slower bike with less power is not going to be that much different than a bike with more power,
your off-road performance,
especially if it's a lighter bike.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It's interesting.
I think that's the message.
What would you say what would you have your maximum be for a midweight, quote unquote?
I feel like anything over 500 pounds is already like pushing it.
Okay.
Like, I feel like midweight should be 500 pounds or less.
Okay.
Wet.
Yeah. No, yeah. I was going to say, wet weight.
400 pounds. Okay. Maybe like 510 just to give a little bit of a grace for fuel and stuff. Because I feel like there's too many variations like fuel capacity and tanks and stuff like that. So maybe 510. Anything above that is too much. Is full size adventure bike. Yeah. But ideally, like I think anything you were, they should stay less than 500 pounds.
Okay,
wet weight
for sure.
And then like 110 horsepower already feels like a lot. So I don't know.
Yeah, looking at like it's crazy to see like the 2003 BMW, the R1150 GS at 500 and almost 550 pounds,
but only having 79 horsepower.
Yeah,
which is significantly less than the new Desert X. That's 80 pounds lighter, but having 20 more horsepower.
Yeah,
or 12 or 22, whatever math.
Yeah. Well, with my Scrambler being like in that 500 range too, it's just like it's a 1200, but it's got less horsepower. I wouldn't really classify my bike as a midweight.
Yeah, yours is heavy.
Yeah, yours
is a heavy.
It's a full size, but just smaller.
Yeah. Even my bike, I'm like, it's categorically it's a midweight bike. It's kind of a heavy bike.
Yeah, I agree. But then I remember like jumping. Like after trying yours and then comparing to when we tried like the Tiger 1200s.
Yeah.
So big.
It is a difference.
It's massive.
It is a big difference.
It's like, I'm not sure I would ever really want a full size adventure bike.
I feel like if I'm doing more on-road riding, sure.
Or touring.
I would take a GS 100%. That'd be great touring. But as soon as it hits dirt, anything more than like a fire road, I don't think I'd want to deal with that.
Yeah, no, it's a lot.
I'm not doing a BDR on the GS. Maybe some sections, but not
the full
thing.
Full run. People do though.
People do, and props to them. But
yeah,
I think I would rather take a lighter bike for that. But anyways, that's kind of like our discussion on the midweight bikes, but also, we really wanted to talk about the new Desert X and the Tenere 700.
Food for thought, and just whatever you guys end up getting, just make sure that you can pick it up.
Yeah, that's true. And let us know, like shoot us an email, like what you think like midweight category should be classified at. And if you think it should be split into two like separate categories or subcategories. But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. Hopefully you enjoy this a little bit of a lengthy episode, but it's fine. And we'll see you in the next show.
We'll take care.